Honoka Takiya was a typical high school student, often seen as a bit of a loser. His seat was next to Aka Takari, the most beautiful, intelligent, and popular girl in the class, who was treated like a queen by everyone. However, no one knew that Aka was also a witch. Honoka believed that someone as ordinary as him would never have a chance to be friends with someone like Aka. One day, his eraser fell near her desk and Aka kindly returned it to him. After school, Honoka was beaten up by his classmates for this interaction and warned never to approach Aka again. Despite this, fate had other plans for Honoka. While on garbage duty one day, he found a rabbit doll in the trash. Suddenly, a building collapsed on him, and he thought he was going to die. However, Aka saved him, revealing her identity as a witch whose mission was to protect him. They were attacked by rabbits, and while Aka was dealing with them, a girl called out to Honoka. It turned out that an army of rabbits had lured him into a trap and wanted to kill him. Aka used fire magic to burn all the rabbits. When Honoka asked why she was protecting him, Aka revealed that he was her princess. Honoka was shocked and thought he misheard, but Aka confirmed that she meant princess and not prince. Honoka noticed Aka's hair burning and became furious as she had protected him. Determined, Honoka tried to protect Aka from a sneak attack by the rabbits. The rabbits weren't destroyed, so Aka used her fire magic to turn them into ashes. From the next day on, Aka started sitting next to Honoka and walking to school with him. This infuriated Aka's fan club, who confronted Honoka in the corridor. Aka rescued him, tied his tie, and took him to lunch. The fan club was furious seeing Honoka among them, but Aka insisted on keeping him by her side. Angry at her stubbornness, Honoka walked away. He noticed that the place where they fought the previous day was completely normal now. Honoka then encountered Tampo Kiri, the owner of the rabbits, who tried to take him away. Aka intervened and Tampo summoned her entire rabbit army. Aka was stabbed multiple times while protecting Honoka, but she was unaffected by the injuries because she was made of fire. Honoka realized how selfish he had been while Aka was always trying to protect him. He decided to trust her. Aka incinerated Tampo's entire army in seconds, and Tampo escaped. On the way home, Honoka apologized to Aka for getting angry during lunch. The next day, 5 new transfer students were introduced: Tampo, Ren, Kotu, Mei, and Kana, all of them tower witches. Honoka had no idea why he was being attacked, and whenever he asked Aka, she would only say that she would tell him when the time was right. Honoka decided to talk to her in class, but instead he found himself in a torture room. Aka had used a spell to make him subconsciously walk there. Honoka had warned that the new witches would cause problems, leading Aka to torture 4 of the 5 transfer students. Tampo cursed Aka for capturing them, explaining to Honoka that Aka was a workshop witch protecting him. Tampo revealed that they only sought the white stuff inside Honoka. Meanwhile, Mei, the 5th witch, kidnapped Honoka and attempted to flee. Aka defeated the other 4 witches and burned Mei, but they noticed Aka had sustained the same injury as Honoka. The 5 tower witches eventually escaped. When Honoka woke up, he saw Aka wearing a scarf to conceal her injury. He asked her to teach him magic. Meanwhile, in a maid cafe, a tower witch named Kronar Schwartz met with a workshop witch named Kazan. They discussed an attack on one of Kazan's underlings by Medusa's subordinates. Aka then explained the division of witches into 2 groups: workshop witches and tower witches. Workshop witches establish workshops in human settlements to prevent the misuse of magic, monitoring their designated areas. Tower witches, on the other hand, used magic for selfish reasons, bringing destruction wherever they went. Aka and Honoka visited a maid cafe where they encountered an irritating maid who was also the student council vice president and a workshop witch. The annoying maid expressed her concern about the increasing number of tower witches entering the town. Aka and Honoka went shopping, where Honoka witnessed a seemingly kind girl named AI helping a lost child. However, AI turned evil as soon as she recognized Honoka, revealing herself as one of the tower witches. Two of her friends also appeared, but Aka easily dealt with all three tower witches and rescued the lost child. Honoka regretted leaving his house, thinking he should have stayed to avoid such situations. He asked Aka why she wouldn't seal or hide him to prevent trouble, but Aka reassured him not to worry. Aka then decided to teach Honoka magic and brought him to Ultima Syria workshop, which was their school. Kazan, the head of the workshop, and Aka's mother scolded Aka for destroying the school. Honoka introduced himself following a witch custom where a subordinate witch must bring a prospective apprentice to their supervisor. Tompo and her allies attacked Honoka, prompting him to observe how Aka fought. Aka swiftly ended the confrontation. Honoka was initially confused about what he was supposed to learn at the school. He was surprised to find that Aka's locker had no love letters, whereas his own was filled with death threats. This was because Aka's fan club managed all the lockers daily. Aka was welcomed grandly, and she gave Honoka some school books, instructing him to read them as part of his training. During the sports period, Aka tutored Honoka, which made Ayaka's fan club jealous. The teacher asked everyone to pair up, and Aka wanted to pair with Honoka, encouraged by the teacher. Aka was determined to win every game, but Honoka struggled in all of them. After classes, Honoka's classmates began showing increasing hostility towards him. At the bus stop, Aka and Honoka waited together, but on the bus, Aka noticed something amiss. Kroner Schwartz was sitting at the back. The bus was enveloped in a barrier, hiding what was happening inside. Kroner used magic to freeze Aka, and Honoka tried to intervene. Kroner explained that Aka wouldn't be harmed even if she lost her limbs due to a contract she had with Honoka. It turned out that Aka had borrowed Honoka's power to become an invisible witch, a fact Honoka was unaware of. Kroner hinted at a past connection between Aka and Honoka. Kroner told Honoka that he needed to give more of his energy to Aka from the white stuff inside him. She offered him a dark pill to unleash his power, but before she could give it to him, Aka intervened. She asked Honoka to close his eyes as she transformed, her flames turning green and destroying Kroner. However, Kroner wasn't truly dead. She promised to meet Aka on Walper's night. When Honoka opened his eyes, he found himself lying in front of the bus stop. He carried the unconscious Aka to the school dormitory, where the nurse assured him that Aka was simply sleeping. Honoka felt a strange familiarity with Aka from before he entered the school and discovered a candy in his pocket, the pill given by Kroner. Honoka decided to save it for later and not consume it. The next day, Aka began training Honoka in earnest. She dressed him in witch robes and took pictures of him because he looked cute. Aka instructed him to try jumping, and Honoka discovered he could leap high into the air. She then asked Honoka to hold her, and he found Aka as light as a feather. Though he still didn't understand the purpose of the robes, Aka realized Honoka was a bit slow to grasp things and explained that the robes made a person lighter. Meanwhile, Ten Popo's team encountered Ai's team, and Aka showed Honoka how to summon a broom. However, Honoka struggled to summon his own. It was time for the clubs to use the gym, and Honoka worried about being seen wearing robes. However, the robes were enchanted so that normal people wouldn't notice the witches subconsciously make way for them. Aka placed Honoka on her broom and flew into the sky, intending to show him how workshop witches patrolled every day. As evening approached, Honoka fell asleep from exhaustion. When he woke up, Aka was taking him back to school. Honoka noticed a girl being robbed, and Aka explained that witches only intervene to protect people from bad witches. Other citizen issues were handled by the police. Despite this, Honoka still wanted to help the girl. He attempted to summon his broom and succeeded. However, Honoka didn't know how to fly. Aka instructed him to concentrate and command the broom to fly. Honoka quickly learned how to maneuver the broom, but crashed into the people robbing the little girl. The robbers then turned their attention to bullying Honoka, but Aka swiftly intervened and taught them a lesson. She deduced that they were tower witches who had intentionally lured Honoka into a trap. Meanwhile, Medusa was sealed in a heavily guarded place called Renberg, with tight security around her 24/7. It was rumored that if Medusa were to break free, it would herald the end of the world. However, the security guards assigned to Medusa didn't take the threat seriously until Medusa smiled while trapped, causing cracks to appear in the crystal around her. Tampo and her teammates discussed how to deal with Honoka, planning to target him when Aka wasn't around. However, they soon realized that Aka and Honoka were always together. Crenoir joined the conversation and agreed to assist them. Honoka woke up and went to the bathroom to freshen up. His sister Kasumi helped him get ready for school and questioned him about the girl who had called him on Sunday. Honoka tried to brush it off as just a classmate, but Kasumi pressed him, suspecting something more between him and Aka. Rumors about Honoka and Aka were spreading widely, and Kasumi had even followed them when they went shopping. Eventually, Kasumi decided to let the matter rest for the time being. On their way to school, Honoka pondered whether he should confide in his sister about Aka. Lost in thought, he almost missed the bus when suddenly Tampo attacked him. Tampopo's friends were simultaneously engaging Aka, following Crenoir's advice to strike when Aka and Honoka were separated. Because Honoka was an infinite source of mana for Aka, Crenoir chose not to participate in the battle since she had depleted her magic attacking Honoka. Furthermore, Tampopo's master, Medusa, would be displeased if Crenoir assisted Tampo and her friends. Feeling helpless, Honoka watched as Tampo was suddenly attacked by a giant bear, whose owner turned out to be Honoka's sister, Kasumi. Kasumi and Tampo engaged in a fierce battle, with Kasumi easily overpowering Tampo. However, Ren soon joined the fray. In response, Kasumi increased the size of her bear to monstrous proportions, causing havoc in the town. The bear stomped its foot, creating an explosion that defeated Tampopo and her allies. Meanwhile, Kazan was enjoying a peaceful day until news of the explosion reached her, disrupting her tranquility. Honoka was surprised to learn that Kasumi was a witch. Amidst the chaos, he remembered that Aka was still under attack, but was relieved to find her unharmed. Kasumi, however, felt jealous that Honoka's main concern was Aka. To resolve the issue, Kasumi and Aka agreed to alternate days accompanying Honoka. Aka had broken the rules by taking Honoka out on a weekend, leading Honoka to scold her for it. Chumi also warned Aka about the increasing number of tower witches in the town. In response, Aka suggested that Honoka should live with her so she could protect him at all times. Meanwhile, Crenoir had ordered her to summon to capture all the tower witches in the town. Kazan received word about Medusa's escape, causing her concern over the brewing storm within the town. Aka visited Honoka's house to inform his mother, Kamachi, about their plan to live together. Kamachi was delighted to see Aka and revealed that she knew Aka's mother, Kazan, from their school days. They were close classmates and friends. Despite their deep bond, they couldn't marry due to being girls. Instead, they promised to arrange their children's marriage, which could have been complicated if both had been male. However, unlike their parents, Kazan and Kamachi prioritized their children's feelings. Now Kamachi felt reassured seeing Aka and Honoka seemingly in love. Honoka couldn't quite explain why he wanted to live with Aka. Kasumi strongly opposed Honoka and Aka's marriage, driven by her deep attachment to her brother. Kamachi restrained Kasumi so Honoka could be with Aka. Aka asked Honoka if he truly wanted to live together, and he responded that he felt safe and a sense of connection with her, as if there were forgotten memories between them. Aka shared the same feeling, believing the answer to this mystery was linked to the power inside Honoka. At that moment, a maid awaited Aka in front of a luxurious car. Ayaka's house towered 41 stories high, stunning Honoka with its opulence. They ascended to Ayaka's room using a transparent elevator. Inside, they found Medusa waiting. Aka instructed Honoka to go to the 12th floor while she engaged Medusa in battle. Honoka tried to open the elevator door, but failed, feeling compelled to help Aka against the formidable enemy. He donned his robe, though he knew his skills were limited to running away. Suddenly, the elevator door melted, startling Honoka. Despite wanting to fight alongside Aka, he realized his inability and watched helplessly as Medusa petrified her. Honoka pleaded with Medusa to release Aka, but she refused. revealing that Ayaka's soul was bound to Honoka, a truth he now comprehended. In desperation, he consumed the pill given by Cronwar. Upon swallowing it, a woman named Evermillion materialized before him and confronted Medusa. Meanwhile, Kazan rested in her office located on a hill behind the school, gazing at the sunset. In contrast, Tampo and her friends settled into their new club room, intending to use it as their main activity hub. Unexpectedly, Evermillion's clash with Medusa resulted in an explosion that razed Kazan's hillside home. The school was buried under the rubble. Enraged, Kazan ordered all workshop witches to gather near her residence. Honoka beseeched Evermillion to help revive Aka, who demanded his eyes in exchange. Without hesitation, Honoka agreed to her conditions. Evermillion was surprised. She had been testing Honoka, and he had passed. She revealed the method to heal Aka. Medusa's magic depended on her hands and eyes, both of which were sealed, limiting her ability to petrify Aka completely. Evermillion assured Honoka that Aka would survive the attack. Reluctantly, Honoka followed Evermillion's instructions. He kissed Aka on her cheek. Miraculously, Aka was healed. Evermillion warned Honoka not to summon her again under similar circumstances before disappearing. As Evermillion faded, Medusa awakened once more, ordering her students to attack. However, Aka effortlessly defeated them with a single shot. Aka then engaged Medusa in combat. When Honoka regained consciousness, he found himself in the school nurse's office with Aka. Medusa, now their ally, sat on the bed beside them, having made peace with Aka after Aka promised her protection. Aka kissed Honoka to repay him for saving her. Meanwhile, Kazan had gathered all workshop witches, and Kasumi arrived at the school. Aka's sole focus remained on protecting Honoka, unconcerned with other matters. Honoka brought Aka to his house, where Aka decided to reside permanently. Meanwhile, Kazan had captured Cronwar for interrogation, earning her a reputation as the torturer among other witches. Kasumi returned home after spending the night searching for Medusa, only to find Aka asleep on top of Honoka. Furious, Kasumi criticized her mother for allowing Aka to live in their home. Kamachi was deeply hurt by Kasumi's harsh words. Honoka gently guided Kamachi to rest and scolded Kasumi, insisting that she apologize. Recognizing her mistake, Kasumi did so. Honoka then called Kamachi's workplace to inform them of her absence. Meanwhile, Sidok Kaicho, the student council president, chastised the fan club for their inability to handle Honoka. She demanded an explanation from Kenny, the head of the fan club, who explained that they were powerless because Aka had warned everyone not to harm Honoka. Unmoved by the explanation, Sidok also reprimanded Vice President TCO and their supporter, Kaio Kairo. Sidok ordered Kaio Kairo to resolve the issue with Honoka. Kaio Kairo met Honoka and Aka at the school gate and invited them to the science experiment lab. There, he discussed the problems caused by Honoka's association with Aka. He explained the school's tradition of electing a school representative through a vote based on various factors, including appearance and talent. The winner would be called the prince or princess, with their authority second only to the chairperson. Aka had been elected as the princess, leading to rumors spreading after Honoka began hanging out with her. Kaio Kairo advised Honoka to stay away from Aka, but as a teacher he had no authority to advise the princess. Aka then revealed she had a plan, which reassured Kyokai Airo. He proceeded to use magic to transport Honoka into another dimension, where he showed him a replica of the pill Honoka had consumed. The pill Honoka consumed was meant to summon the White Princess, Evermillion, who was sealed within him by 5 seals. When Honoka ingested the pill, it broke the first seal. Kaio Kairo warned Honoka that Kazan might become his enemy because she was a powerful witch, and if the seals continued to break, it could lead to problems. Only Kazan could prevent the seals from breaking, but she was occupied with finding Medusa. Kaio Kairo urged Honoka to keep the broken seal a secret. Kaio Kairo harbored jealousy towards Aka for becoming Honoka's princess. He asked Honoka if he could become his prince, revealing feelings similar to those of a friend who acts like they're in love with you. However, Aka intervened by breaking into the dimension and rescuing Honoka. Instead of returning to class, Aka brought him to the announcement room. Honoka then called everyone to the gym, including Kenny, who informed Kazan about the announcement. Angrily, Kazan headed to the gym to confront Aka. Aka took the opportunity to deliver a speech, a rare occurrence that excited everyone present. In a surprising move, Aka announced Honoka as the new student council president, replacing Kenny. She also convinced TCO to relinquish her position as vice president to Honoka. The student council members were displeased with Honoka's appointment as president, and Aka had prepared harsh remarks for Honoka to deliver. However, Honoka declined to speak the prepared words, instead suggesting that the student council accept him temporarily and judge his worthiness over time. Meanwhile, Kasumi prepared to separate Honoka from Ayaka. Medusa and her students, residing in Honoka's house, heard Kasumi's preparations. As Kasumi watched Honoka conversing with Aka, she grew increasingly enraged and resolved to kidnap him. Honoka and Aka went shopping for stuffed toys when suddenly a car crashed into the store. Aka was shot with tranquilizers by Kasumi, who then grabbed Honoka and flew away, intending to live alone with him far away. Aka pursued them with a summoned creature firing beams to stop Kasumi. In the struggle, both Honoka and Kasumi fell, but Aka managed to save them. At the scene of the destruction caused by Aka's beams, workshop witches arrived. Honoka pondered the mystery of sibling bonds. Realizing Aka understood the strong connection between siblings, Aka decided to try being Honoka's little sister and insisted he call her big sister. Though Honoka struggled to do so properly, eventually Aka grew bored and fell asleep. Honoka noticed the stuffed toys he had bought for Aka and Kasumi were ruined. Just then, the phone rang, and Honoka answered. It was Kazan, who mentioned she would visit their house to discuss something with Kasumi and Aka. Kamachi, waking from her sleep upon hearing this, shared a shocking revelation. She had a secret affair after her marriage and gave birth to a baby, whom she then gave to a distant relative. This baby turned out to be Aka. Realizing it was all a dream, Honoka found Aka cooking in the kitchen. He had momentarily forgotten that they were living together until Aka reminded him. Excited for breakfast, Honoka eagerly joined Aka. Afterward, he decided to help Aka wash the dishes as they discussed activities they could do together. While Honoka and Aka were home alone, the Tower Witches became increasingly jealous as they watched them. Locked in Ayaka's room with their master Medusa, Tampopo grew frustrated and demanded answers from Medusa. Medusa explained that Aka had hidden them from Kazan because Ayaka didn't want Kazan to know that the Hono seal had been broken during Medusa's sleep. Determined to capture Honoka and present him as a gift to Medusa, the Tower Witches planned to seize him while he slept. However, their plans were thwarted by Aka, who kept a vigilant watch over Honoka. The Tower Witches decided to wait for Aka to sleep. But as the night wore on, they eventually fell asleep themselves, unaware that Aka remained awake all night. The next day, Aka and Honoka were studying, though Honoka was reluctant and expressed a desire to learn to fight instead of focusing on his studies. Feeling inadequate despite being Ayaka's disciple, Honoka feared becoming useless. Aka encouraged him to concentrate on his studies, reminding him that they might not attend the same college if he didn't. Suddenly, it began to rain, prompting Honoka and Ayaka to rush to bring in the clothes from outside. Just then, Kazan, Kamachi, and Kasumi returned from their shopping trip. Honoka headed to the bathroom to dry off, and was ambushed by the Tower Witches there. Kazan discovered the Tower Witches and rushed to intervene, but Aka stepped in to halt the attack. Aka then merged herself with Medusa, causing Honoka to briefly lose consciousness. During this moment, he had a vision of Medusa surrendering. As Aka carried Medusa away on a hospital bed, she proposed an alliance between herself and Medusa. Honoka offered Medusa an apple of discord, not to make her a discord moderator, but to merge their powers as witches. Honoka woke up and witnessed Aka merging with Medusa. Kazan became furious and was about to strike Aka, but Honoka inadvertently used his power to switch places with Aka and took the blow himself. Honoka found himself waking up in a punishment room where Aka attempted to burn the bars. only to find out they were protected and couldn't be burned. It turned out Kazan had agreed to provide protection as long as the seal wasn't broken, but now that it was, Honoka was in danger. Kazan planned to interrogate Medusa and then come after Honoka. Akka had no choice but to confront Kazan outside. Meanwhile, Kazan was discussing with Crenoir about the witches from Rottenberg's workshop who had taken Medusa. Before she could interrogate them, a blast occurred, and Honoka and Akka emerged, expecting a fight. Kazan, unaware of the broken seal, scolded Ayaka for her actions. On their way home, Honoka started laughing as Ayaka cheered him up to help him break out of the punishment room. Kazan then called Kani and Tako to accompany Ayaka to school on her first day. They arrived late to class, where everyone was already talking about Akka, who was becoming increasingly popular. Akka, unfamiliar with school norms, relied on Kani to guide her. During lunch, some girls disrespected Tako, prompting Akka to walk away from them. Akka headed to the library and immersed herself in reading books. She aced her test, which fueled jealousy among the seniors. They cornered Akka, Kani, and TCO behind the school and threatened to cut Akka's hair. Akka used her magic to swiftly defeat all of them. Meanwhile, Akka visited a boys' middle school and started taking an interest in their activities, even reading girl magazines to adapt to their routines. One day, Akka rushed to the middle school, recognizing Honoka there with Kasumi, which stirred a hint of jealousy in her. However, it turned out to be just Honoka's dream. Kasumi woke up to find the Tower Witches having lunch with them. Kamachi explained that she had taken them in as part of their family, which greatly upset Kasumi. Later, Kasumi caught Akka dressed as a nurse, checking on Honoka, leading to an awkward moment during dinner where she scolded Honoka and warned him not to repeat such incidents. Despite becoming the student council president, Honoka faced animosity from all the students who wanted him to resign, turning the school into a lawless zone. Everyone rebelled against him. A girl handed Honoka a challenge letter, inviting him to a battle. Honoka sought information about Renan from Akka. Tampo informed them that Kazan was out for business and Crenoir was now the chairwoman. Honoka headed to the gym alone and found a crowd of students waiting for him there. Honoka tries to explain the truth to Renan, but she refuses to listen, leading to a fierce battle where he almost defeats her using her weakness. However, Akka intervenes to knock Renan out after Honoka passes out from exhaustion. They carry Honoka away and pose as victorious, but Renan discovers she was tricked and becomes furious. Meanwhile, Kasumi fetches Kamachi, who wasn't aware of what happened. The next day, Honoka has a strange dream about Akka and wakes up with her sitting beside him. Akka takes him to the top of a tall building to train him in fighting. She notices Honoka struggling with push-ups and sit-ups and begins teaching him fire magic. Honoka gets nervous when Akka gets too close, causing him to injure his elbow while trying to fight a fire. Familiar Akka summon. He gets frustrated as he wants to learn magic, but Akka stops the fight. In a training exercise on a nearby building, Honoka focuses, but is distracted by his earlier dream. As he almost falls, Akka tries to save him, leading to the summoning of a huge nurse outfit wearing Ayaka as Honoka's familiar. However, the familiar goes out of control and accidentally destroys a training sensation Gochinter Tempopo had just bought with her life savings. This incident ends with Honoka fainting due to exertion and his out-of-control familiar causing chaos in a nearby cafe. Crenoir and Kaio Cairo are concerned about the destruction caused by Honoka's familiar. The focus shifts to Kazan and Renan, who are observing a magic circle. Renan informs Kazan that Tower Witches have taken everyone in the town hostage. Meanwhile, Honoka wakes up and apologizes to Akka for fainting, then questions why Akka suddenly decided to train him. Akka explains that she wants Honoka to become popular by defeating Renan, but she realizes Renan is unaware of the plan and rushes to save Honoka. Honoka reflects on all of this while watching the sunset. The next morning, everyone is having breakfast. Kazan meets Weekend, who reveals she placed a magic circle capable of devastating the town. The circle is a weapon controlled by Kazan's magical power, designed to protect ordinary people from magical attacks. With a special barrier only she can see, Weekend activates the circle, causing widespread destruction. Kazan uses all her powers to protect the townspeople but is captured by Weekend. Meanwhile, Aka takes Honoka to a secret basement under the school where all the workshop witches, including Rinon, are gathered. Rinon is revealed to be one of the 5 witches protecting the townspeople. After being shot by the witches, Honoka fights back, but inadvertently transfers the damage to Aka, who faints. Rinon incapacitates Kasumi and takes Honoka and Aka to a hidden chamber, warning Honoka not to escape. Honoka realizes he can't use magic in the chamber. When Aka wakes up, she's unaware of the situation outside, and they learn that Kazan has been defeated. A bear toy falls from the roof with a message, but Aka destroys it, preventing them from learning more. They eventually find a way outside and see the town destroyed. Workshop witches are helping to heal and repair, but Honoka has a panic attack. Aka calms him down and motivates him, but he accidentally falls into a hole, and Aka catches him. Renan receives a message that Weekend has planted bombs, set to explode in 30 minutes if Honoka doesn't come out. Honoka and Aka reach the location but are attacked. Aka defeats the enemy without using magic, relying on her physical strength. Meanwhile, at the workshop headquarters, they try to contact Honoka and Aka, who have already escaped. They realize the bombs can be defused manually. Prenoir prepares to fight Weekend, who arrives, and Ronan tries to negotiate for more time. Kazumi and the tower witches suspect the bomb operator is inside the school. At the protector tree, Honoka is nervous about making the contract as the countdown to the bomb's detonation continues. Honoka successfully forms his contract as the protector of the town, which replenishes his magic. Renan uses her magic to disarm the bombs planted by Weekend, but the effort leaves Honoka weakened, and he faints briefly. Renan manages to capture Weekend in a magic-proof chamber, but Weekend escapes using bombs, which also injure Honoka and cause him to see visions of Weekend, further weakening him. Aka helps Honoka recover and rest. Meanwhile, Crenoir tortures a tower witch to gather information about Weekend. Aka places Honoka in bed to rest while she deals with matters at hand. At school, Honoka notices Kamachi being bullied by other students, but is relieved when Kazan, also a student there, intervenes and protects Kamachi. Honoka remembers his childhood with Kazan, where a young Aka is also present. Kaio appears and explains they are in a space between dimensions. He takes Honoka to a room where every human life is stored, intending to transport them back to their world once things calm down outside. Kaio plans to erase some of their memories as well. In another setting, Kasumi fights an enemy who turns out to be a doppelganger, capable of copying her every move, including her familiar. Atori arrives at the house and provides important documents to Aka, informing her that Crenoir has been torturing tower witches. Aka decides to leave with Atori and asks her to look after Honoka. Back at the school, Medusa arrives and saves Kasumi from the enemy, scolding her students for not fighting effectively. Medusa takes her students with her, leaving Tempo behind. At the church, Weekend waits for Aka and has planted bombs throughout the building, setting up a dangerous confrontation. In the other dimension, Honoka and Kaio are attacked by an enemy, while Aka struggles in her fight against Weekend due to the bombs. Aka manages to corner Weekend, but Weekend uses more bombs to try to defeat Aka. However, Aka transforms into her fire witch form, making her immune to the bombs. Atori tries to take care of Honoka, whose fever keeps increasing. Aka battles Weekend fiercely, using her magic to overpower her, while Aka even switches shirts with Honoka, allowing her to gain his powers and summon her familiar, while Aka defeats Weekend, and Kaio sends Honoka back to the real world. Back in the real world, Atori informs Honoka about Aka's situation. Atori receives a call about the enemy's defeat, but the planted bombs threaten everyone's souls. Honoka rushes to the church where Aka is heavily injured from battling Weekend, who boasts about her powers and plans. Weekend blows up the church, and Honoka arrives just in time to carry Aka, who is unconscious from exhaustion. Aka regains consciousness briefly and apologizes to Honoka, offering Evermillion in exchange for his life. Aka faints due to the strain, losing her powers. Weekend takes advantage of the situation and stabs Honoka in the back. Honoka pulls out the knife but chooses not to kill Weekend, refusing to become like her. Meanwhile, Tenpo carries the unconscious Kasumi, and Marin tries to communicate with TPO. The enemy heals Honoka and departs, just as Atori arrives at the church, hiding from Weekend. Inside, Weekend encounters Crunwar. Atori sees Honoka with Aka lying in his lap. The town has healed and returned to normal. Kasumi wakes up, mistakenly believing that Tampopo is kidnapping her, and orders Macron to confront Tampopo. Despite Macron's attempts to explain, Kasumi refuses to listen. Kaio Kairo contacts Atori, and Honoka explains the situation to Kaio Kairo. Meanwhile, Crunwar begins fighting with Weekend. Kaio Kairo explains that the bond between Honoka and Aka must be broken to re-establish their contract, and instructs Atori to draw a magic circle and place Aka in the center. By this time, Crunwar has already defeated Weekend and the other tower witches. Kaio Kairo guides Honoka through the ritual to restore the contract. Honoka hesitates to kiss Aka, feeling shy and unsure. Before Atori can intervene, Aka suddenly awakens on her own. Meanwhile, Crunwar criticizes Weekend for her flawed plan. Kazan arrives, surprising Weekend, who has regained her strength in just 20 hours, but chooses to let the kids handle the danger while she remains indoors. Kazan wants to punish Weekend for her actions, but Crunwar insists on settling the matter through a battle. Crunwar transforms into her true form, and a fierce battle ensues, ending with Kazan emerging victorious. Meanwhile, Aka discusses the possibility of breaking the contract with someone. Honoka and Kaio Kairo are summoned before Evermillion, who explains that Aka broke her contract to return all power to Honoka. Honoka, on his own, successfully saves the entire town. Awakening in his bed, Honoka rushes to see Aka. Though he stumbles as he gets up, he is overjoyed to find Aka there. As they walk towards school, they encounter Medusa's disciples, whom Aka swiftly defeats. With this, everything returns to normal.